When it comes to garden hoses, there's a huge difference in price, everywhere from $25 up to $70. So the question is, are these rubber hoses just as good or better than this expanding hose or this non-expanding hose? Well, let's find out. Some of the hoses are very easy to reel up while others take more effort. Then we'll see which hose offers the fastest water flow rate. We'll also see which hose ends become damaged when driven over. Finally, we'll see which hose offers the best durability. At a price of only $25 is this Apex brand. All the hoses we'll be testing are 50 feet in length, 5 times greater scuff resistance and high burst strength. They also claim crush-resistant couplings. And the Apex is made in the USA. Some of the brands claim to be very light, and the Apex weighs just over 8.2 pounds. I've attached a pressure gauge to a garden hose, and the water pressure is very close to 68 psi. A hose that restricts water flow can prevent water sprayers and water sprinklers from working efficiently. So let's compare the water flow rate using a 5-gallon bucket. And the Apex performed well at 59 seconds. At a price of $30 is this Gilmour brand. They claim their hoses are super duty. They also claim it's the strongest hose in its class. Patented 8-layer technology with reinforced core. Maximum kink resistance. They also claim crush-resistant couplings. And the Gilmour is made in USA. And the Gilmour weighs around 7.4 pounds. 59 seconds is the time to beat, and the Gilmour is filling the bucket quickly. And it's very close, but the Gilmour is finished in right at 60 seconds. At a price of $35 is this GUKOK brand. All the previous hoses are some type of solid rubber hose, but this type is non-expanding. They claim it's a kink-free garden hose. It has a burst rating of 600 psi. It's also rated for 0 degrees Fahrenheit. They claim it's 50% lighter. And the GUKOK is made in China. And the GUKOK is by far the lightest yet at only 2.69 pounds. The previous hose is made of rubber, and this one claims to be non-expanding. With a name like GUKOK, expectations are pretty high. Unfortunately, the GUKOK is quite a bit slower than the Apex and the Gilmour to fill the bucket at 1 minute and 15 seconds. At a price of $36 is this Specilite brand. It even comes with a spray nozzle. It's a kinkless hybrid rubber hose. They claim it's 30% lighter than traditional rubber hoses. And the Specilite is made in China. And it's 7.28 pounds for the Specilite. And it appears that it's going to be really hard to beat the Apex's 59-second time. The Specilite is quite a bit faster than the GUKOK, but 1 second slower than the Apex at 60 seconds. At a price of $38 is this Swan Soft and Simple. They claim a burst pressure of 400 psi. They claim 4,000 psi to crush the hose ends. They claim patented hose armor prevents kinking. And the Swan is made in America. And the Swan is the lightest yet at 6.68 pounds. The Swan is off to a pretty good start, and 59 seconds is the time to beat. The Swan is pretty fast, but it came up 2 seconds short at 1 minute and 1 second. At a price of $40 is this Aqua Joe brand. They claim it's made of a premium hybrid polymer. It's supposed to be kink and twist free. And the hose ends are made of aluminum. And the Aqua Joe is made in China. And it's 7.31 pounds for the Aqua Joe. The Aqua Joe is producing a pretty impressive stream of water. And the name Aqua Joe seems to fit, as the Aqua Joe just took the lead from the Apex at 58 seconds. At a price of $40 is this Yamatic brand. They claim it's made of a hybrid material to make it super flexible and lightweight. They claim the material provides no permanent kink memory even when laid flat. And the Yamatic hose is made in China. And the Yamatic weighs 7.51 pounds. The hose ends on the Yamatic have a pretty large diameter opening, and that seems to be helping. And the Yamatic moves into a 2-way tie for first place with the Aqua Joe at 58 seconds. At a price of $40 is this Flexzilla brand. They claim it coils easily and lays flat with 0 memory. They claim it's lighter, making it easier to carry and maneuver around the yard. They claim lead-free connections and drinking water safe. The hose ends on the Flexzilla are made of anodized aluminum. And the Flexzilla is made in Taiwan. And it's 6.67 pounds for the Flexzilla. And the pressure's on for the Flexzilla to do some flexing on the competition. Unfortunately, the Flexzilla came up a couple of seconds short and is finished in 1 minute. At a price of $40 is this Vellybrin brand. The inner layer is made of PVC. It's also supposed to be kink-free. They claim a non-expanding hose eliminates issues caused by water pressure fluctuations. The hose also comes with a spray nozzle. And the Velybrin is made in China. And the Velybrin weighs 3.55 pounds. The non-expanding Velybrin is really struggling to keep up with the regular rubber water hoses. 58 seconds is the time to beat, but the Velybrin is finally finished at 1 minute and 33 seconds, the slowest time yet. At a price of $43 is this ZeroG brand. It's kink resistant and easy to maneuver and store. Compared to commercial hoses, it's supposed to be 50% lighter weight. And the ZeroG is made in the USA. And the ZeroG weighs 4.39 pounds. The non-expanding hoses have really struggled to keep up with the expanding hoses so far in the showdown. However, the ZeroG isn't too far behind the rubber hoses at 66 seconds. At a price of $44 is this Craftsman brand. They claim 500 psi max, anti-kink and lightweight. The hose ends are made of aluminum, but these are titanium coated. And the Craftsman is made in China. And the Craftsman weighs 7.44 pounds. The Craftsman is a rubber hose and is filling the bucket a little bit faster than the ZeroG. And the Craftsman is finished in 59 seconds. At a price of $45 is this Giraffe Tools brand. They claim it's made of hybrid material from rubber and polymer, making it lighter and more durable. And the hose ends are made of aluminum. They say it has a burst strength of 600 psi. The interesting thing about the Giraffe Tools is you can actually shorten the hose by removing the hose ends. And the Giraffe Tools is made in China. And it's 6.25 pounds for the Giraffe Tools. The Giraffe Tools is a rubber hose and it's making very quick progress at filling the bucket. And the Giraffe Tools is finally finished in right at 1 minute. At a price of $50 is this Rainpoint brand. The hose ends are made of copper-clad aluminum. It's advertised as a PVC garden hose. They claim it's soft and highly elastic as well as kink-free. They claim it has a 600 psi burst rating. And the Rainpoint is made in China. And the Rainpoint's pretty light at just over 7 pounds. The rubber hoses are all performing quite a bit better than the non-expanding hoses, and the Rainpoint performed well at 59 seconds. At a price of $50 is this DeWalt brand. DeWalt claims that their hose is a professional grade water hose. It has a heavy duty twist collar. The hose ends are made of anodized aluminum. The DeWalt weighs 7.46 pounds. The DeWalt claims to be a professional grade water hose. And the DeWalt joins the Aqua Joe and the Yamatic in a 3-way tie for first place at 58 seconds. At a price of $50 is this Continental brand. They claim it's made of 100% premium reinforced rubber. The brass fittings are supposed to be crush proof, abrasion and weather resistant. And the Continental is made in USA. And the Continental is by far the heaviest yet at 11.65 pounds. And the Continental hose is by far the heaviest hose in the lineup so far, but it's not quite as fast at 59 seconds. At a price of $57 is this Flexi hose. They claim it's high pressure resistant and never kinks or leaks. Unlike any of the previous brands, this one's an expanding hose. Lightweight and compact. It's supposed to have brass fittings. And the Flexi hose is made in Thailand. And the Flexi hose is very light at only 2.2 pounds. If you're looking for a water hose for the lawn sprinkler, the Flexi hose might not have enough water flow to work efficiently at 1 minute and 25 seconds. At a price of $60 is this Rainpoint non-expanding hose. They claim a maximum working pressure of 750 psi. It has a PVC inner tube, 3 or 4 stainless middle tube, high strength knitted fabric cover. It even comes with a spray nozzle. And the Rainpoint is made in China. And it's 6.17 pounds for the Rainpoint. The size of the hole for the hose ends is pretty small and it's holding back the Rainpoint. And the Rainpoint is finally finished in 1 minute and 26 seconds. At a price of $70 is this as seen on TV Copperhead pocket hose brand. They claim it has a triple layer tubing, extra tough anti-tear fabric. It's supposed to be lead and kink-free. It even comes with a 10-pattern spray nozzle. And the pocket hose is made in Thailand. And the pocket hose is very light at only 2.34 pounds. And the pocket hose is an expanding hose with a really small hole for the hose end. Definitely not a good pick for a spray nozzle or yard sprinkler at 1 minute and 33 seconds. So the Aqua Joe, Yamatic, and DeWalt finished in a 3-way tie for first place at 58 seconds. However, all of the regular hoses are within a few seconds of each other. The non-expanding and the expanding hoses are all quite a bit slower. Several of the brands claim that their hoses are kink-free or kink-resistant. Alcoa each hose adding a total of 5 loops. And the Apex is a very stiff rubber hose and it's straightened out without kinking. And the Gilmour is also a pretty stiff rubber hose and it's straightened out without kinking. And the GUKOK performed just as well as the Apex and the Gilmour and didn't kink. The Specilite is made of a much softer rubber than the Apex and the Gilmour, and the Specilite did experience 1 kink. The Swan is designed to be highly kink resistant, and it too performed well without kinking. The Aqua Joe looks like it's going to kink in 4 places, but 3 of the 4 kinks unwound as the hose extended. The Yamatic is a very soft and flexible rubber hose, and the Yamatic experienced 4 kinks. The Flexzilla is also a very soft and flexible hose, and just like the Yamatic, it experienced 4 kinks. The Vellybrin claims to have an anti-kink design, but it experienced 3 kinks. The ZeroG is also designed to avoid kinks. And the ZeroG performed as advertised and did not experience any kinks. The Craftsman is also a pretty soft hose compared to the Apex and the Gilmour, and the Craftsman experienced 3 kinks. The Giraffe Tools is made of a very flexible hybrid polymer material, and the Giraffe Tools experienced 2 kinks. The Rainpoint is also very light and flexible, and the Rainpoint experienced 4 kinks. The DeWalt is also super soft and flexible, and the DeWalt experienced the most kinks yet at 5. At over 11 pounds, the Continental is a really heavy and thick-walled hose, and that really helped with 0 kinks. And the Flexi hose is an expanding hose that's very light. And the Flexi hose performed as advertised and did not kink. The Rainpoint is a non-expanding hose, and it performed a little bit better than average with just 1 kink. The as seen on TV pocket hose is supposed to be kink-proof. And the pocket hose performed as advertised without any kinks. So 8 hoses did not experience any kinks. The Specilite and the Aqua Joe experienced just 1 kink. Some of the brands claim that their hoses are light and easy to move. Using a force meter, the Apex takes quite a bit of force to drag the 50-foot section while full of water at 11.2 pounds. The Gilmour's outer layer seems very slick, and the Gilmour takes around 2 pounds less force to drag across the yard than the Apex at 8.9 pounds. And the GUKOK is very light at only 2.69 pounds. However, under around 68 psi and full of water, it slides very easily at 6.2 pounds. And a Specilite under pressure and full of water takes about the same amount of force as the Gilmour at 8.7 pounds. And the outer surface of the Swan seems to have more texture than the Specilite, and it takes 9.5 pounds of force. Of all the regular hoses, the Aqua Joe seems to take the least amount of force yet at 8.5 pounds. The Yamatic seems like a very soft and flexible hose, and it takes 9.1 pounds of force to slide the hose. And the Flexzilla takes more force to slide than most of the other brands at 9.4 pounds. The Vellybrin is a very light hose, and the outer jacket of the hose seems very slick. 4.4 pounds is the best yet. The ZeroG is also a very lightweight hose, and it takes very little effort to drag across the yard at only 5.1 pounds of force. The Craftsman is one of the heaviest hoses in the lineup, and it takes 8.3 pounds of force for the Craftsman. The Giraffe Tools is over a pound lighter than the Craftsman, and it slides relatively easy at 7.6 pounds. The Rainpoint's outer jacket doesn't seem as smooth as some of the other brands, and it takes 8.7 pounds to drag the hose. The DeWalt is one of the heaviest hoses in the showdown, and 8.6 pounds of force is about the same as the Rainpoint. The Continental is the heaviest hose in the lineup, and it takes by far the most force yet at 13 pounds. The Flexi hose is very light, and the outer jacket of the hose seems pretty slick, and 4.3 pounds is the best yet. The lightweight Rainpoint weighs about a pound less than the Rainpoint rubber hose, and the lightweight Rainpoint performed well at 6.2 pounds. The pocket hose is very light, only 2.3 pounds. Once under pressure and filled with water, it takes 4.5 pounds to slide the hose. So the Flexi hose is an expandable hose, and it's the easiest to drag across the yard at only 4.3 pounds. Vellybrin also performed well at 4.4 pounds, and pocket hose finished in third at 4.5. Dragging a 50-foot section of hose doesn't seem too challenging. However, 200 feet of hose length, and some of the brands require around 17 to 18 pounds of force, while others will take 2 to 3 times as much force. Some hoses work well with hose reels, and others put up a lot of resistance. And the Apex is pretty stiff and needs some assistance. And the Gilmour seems even stiffer than the Apex and is a little bit less cooperative on the hose reel. The GUKOK lays flat but coils unevenly, wrapping over itself instead of wrapping around the reel. The Specilite is a much softer hose than the Apex and the Gilmour and is a lot easier to work with. The Swan seems very similar to the Apex and isn't quite as easy to work with as the Specilite. The Aqua Joe is a softer rubber and a little bit easier to work with than the Swan. The Yamatic is a lot like the Aqua Joe and is pretty easy to reel up. If you're looking for a hose that is extremely cooperative on the hose reel, the Flexzilla is going to be really hard to beat. The Vellybrin is a non-expanding hose that's very pliable. Just like the Flexzilla, the Vellybrin is very easy to work with on the hose reel. Just like the GUKOK, the ZeroG lays flat but coils unevenly. It wraps over itself instead of wrapping evenly around the reel. And the Craftsman is also a very soft hose, and they perform better than most of the other hoses. The Giraffe Tools perform very close to the same as the Craftsman and is very easy to work with. Like several of the more expensive hoses, the Rainpoint is pretty cooperative on the hose reel. The DeWalt is very soft and kinks easily. On the other hand, it's very easy to work with on the hose reel. The Continental is a very heavy hose, but that doesn't seem to be hurting its performance. There's probably not much of a need to roll up the Flexi hose, but it performed very well on the hose reel. The lightweight Rainpoint seems just as good as the Flexzilla and reels up easily. Just like the Rainpoint, the pocket hose reels up easily on the hose reel. Assessing performance is highly subjective, but 5 of the brands receive the best possible rating of 1. 6 additional brands receive a rating of 1.5.
Cousin Eddie likes to run his hoses at about 600 psi, so let's see what happens.
Cousin Eddie likes to be up and close to the action, just like this review on recovery ropes from a while back. So he's going to be inspecting the garden hoses as they build pressure. The Apex claims a high burst strength, and that's an accurate statement, as the hose made it to around 680 psi before experiencing a pretty bad rupture. Early into the test, it appears that the Gilmour began leaking around the end cap that I installed on the end of the hose. The hose then wrapped around itself as the pressure increased. According to Cousin Eddie, the Gilmour finally blew out like a diet on cheat day at around 1000 psi. The GUKOK is a non-expanding hose, and it gains most of its strength from the outer jacket or hose fabric. And the GUKOK blew out at around 930 psi. Cousin Eddie says the hose popped like it just saw the water bill. The Specilite is advertised as having a burst pressure of 600 psi. According to Cousin Eddie, the Specilite broke under pressure like a microwave burrito at 920 psi. And the Swan is only rated for 400 psi burst pressure, and it performed quite a bit better than advertised at 860 psi. According to Cousin Eddie, the Swan gave up like his New Year's resolution on January the 2nd. Aqua Joe is supposed to have a hose burst pressure of around 500 psi, and the Aqua Joe performed even better than the Swan at around 900. According to Cousin Eddie, the hose popped like it owed someone money. The Yamatic is rated for 500 psi burst pressure, and the Yamatic performed almost as well as the Gilmour at 950. According to Cousin Eddie, the Yamatic cracked faster than an egg on a hot sidewalk. I didn't see a burst pressure rating for the Flexzilla, but with a name like Flexzilla, expectations are pretty big. Cousin Eddie says the Flexzilla popped like a soda can in a freezer at around 900 psi. I didn't see a burst strength rating for the Vellybrin. However, the Vellybrin did by far the best yet at around 1920 psi. Cousin Eddie says the hose end detached faster than a possum on hot pavement. I couldn't find a burst rating for the ZeroG. However, the ZeroG performed well at around 1100 psi. Cousin Eddie said the ZeroG took flight like a chicken at a barbecue cook-off. The Craftsman has a burst pressure rating of 500 psi and it performed quite a bit better than advertised at around 870. Cousin Eddie says the Craftsman blew out like Uncle Buck at the all-you-can-eat buffet. Giraffe Tools raised their hoses for a burst pressure of 600 psi. And the Giraffe Tools hose end finally let go at 800 psi. Cousin Eddie says the hose end shot across the yard like it was late for church. The Rainpoint is supposed to handle up to 600 psi before reaching burst point and it performed better than its rating at around 960. Cousin Eddie said the Rainpoint sprayed him harder than a skunk at a family reunion. DeWalt is rated for a burst pressure of 500 psi and the DeWalt made it to around 780. Cousin Eddie said the DeWalt had just one job and it panicked. The Continental is a really heavy hose at over 11 pounds, but the extra weight didn't help too much at 840 psi. And Cousin Eddie says the Continental blew out like it's allergic to responsibility. The Flexi hose is an expanding hose and I didn't find a burst pressure rating for the Flexi hose. However, it performed extremely well at around 1650 psi when the hose end coupler detached from the hose. Cousin Eddie said the hose end blew out like his flip-flop at Walmart. The non-expanding Rainpoint hose is rated for 750 psi burst strength and it performed just about as well as the Vellybrin at 1890 psi. Cousin Eddie said the Rainpoint hose end blew off faster than his first wife on payday. And the pocket hose claims to have a burst pressure of 650 psi. And a pocket hose blew off the hose end at 1800 psi. Cousin Eddie says the pocket hose should change its name to Pocket Rocket. If you're looking for a hose to lend to Cousin Eddie, the Vellybrin came in on top at 1920 psi. The lightweight Rainpoint finished in second place at 1890 psi and pocket hose third at 1800. When it comes to garden hoses, a pretty important factor to consider is galvanic corrosion. This occurs when two dissimilar metals, such as brass and aluminum, make contact. The aluminum corrodes, causing a white powdery corrosion that causes the hose ends to become difficult to unscrew. For this reason, I try to only use brass fittings and avoid aluminum altogether. Let's test the durability of the hose ends next. The Apex's hose ends are definitely not very durable as both hose ends have been destroyed. Just like the Apex, the brass hose ends on the Gilmour have been crushed by the weight of the truck. And the GUKOK has brass hose ends and only one out of the two hose ends survived the test. The Specilite also has brass hose ends and the female connector is badly damaged. The Swan has aluminum hose ends and both ends survive without damage. Just like the Swan, the Aqua Joe has aluminum hose ends and both ends survive without damage. The Yamatic has brass hose ends and the female hose end experienced damage. Even though the Flexzilla does have aluminum hose ends, which are typically stronger, the female hose end experienced some damage. With the Vellybrin, the male hose end survived without damage, but the female hose end is badly damaged. The ZeroG's hose ends look very durable and they survive without experiencing any damage. The Craftsman has aluminum hose fittings and the female hose end is now badly bent. The Giraffe Tools hose ends both held up just fine without any visible damage. The Rainpoint's hose ends are encased in plastic and both ends survive without damage. Just like the Rainpoint, the DeWalt's hose ends both survive without any visible damage. The Continental has brass hose ends and the female hose end became badly bent. The female hose end on the Flexi hose was destroyed during the water pressure test, but the male hose end survived without damage. The lightweight Rainpoint lost one end of the hose during the burst pressure test and the female end of the hose survived just fine. The pocket hose is a pretty heavy-duty looking female hose end and it survived without damage. The male hose end became detached during the previous test. Water hoses can be very expensive, but they're pretty cheap to repair. Let's go ahead and remove the badly damaged hose end from the Apex hose. I'll install the male hose end first. I'll go ahead and cut off a section of the hose. Now let's go ahead and connect the two pieces of hose with an adapter designed for this task. Let's go ahead and install the other hose end. The next time Cousin Eddie wants to borrow a hose, we've got a 2-foot hose to loan him. And the repaired section of the hose is holding up just fine and it's not leaking at 70 psi. Let's go ahead and test the durability of the repaired hose. Unfortunately, the female hose end experienced catastrophic damage and so did the plastic hose connection. The hoses are organized from least expensive to most expensive. The left side of the chart includes some basic information about each hose. On the right side of the chart, I've converted the raw score into an A through F rating to help the results make more sense. So which garden hose is best? I think that really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a regular rubber hose and it's all about affordability, I really like the Apex. It has a great water flow rate and avoids kinks better than most. However, it does take more force to drag the hose compared to most of the other brands and is a little bit more difficult to work with on a hose reel. However, the hose ends will likely get damaged if driven over with the vehicle. If you're okay with aluminum hose ends, I really like the Flexzilla. It does have an issue with hose kinks, but it's super easy to reel up onto a hose reel. The hose ends definitely seem more durable compared to the Apexes. If you're looking for a non-expanding hose, the ZeroG earned A's in every category and has very durable hose ends. I hope you enjoyed the Cousin Eddie humor. All the videos on this channel, including this one, are viewer suggested, so if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Please take care and I look forward to next time.